This is actually the first Hubsan device I've ever gotten my hands on. Let's have some fun with it. This is the Hubsan H111D Nano FPV Quadcopter. Now the funny thing is, going into this, I assume I've never touched a Hubsan thing in my life, and then I realized I actually picked up at Walmart a little while back. This is the Estes Synchro, and if you put these two side by side, you can see this is the Estes, this is the Hubsan. From what I understand, in the US, Hubsan a lot of times distributes as Estes, so these may be relatively similar, and this is one of my favorite little nano quadcopters that I've for some reason never made a video about. But let's go ahead and dig into the box and give this thing a fair shake. So we have the H111 here, and it says accessories here, and then the controller underneath. As far as the accessories, you have a USB charging cable and a bag with 4 propellers in it, 2 green, 2 white. Interestingly enough, underneath there's 2 little pieces of cardboard that are just holding it in place. That was actually really easy to get out. And these two look very, very similar underneath as well. This one has a little bit of protection on the underside, of course, which has a lot to do with the camera, I'm sure. But just looking at the motors, see how they both have those little cutouts underneath them? Very, very similar. This one has a little bit of plastic on the lens cover, but there it is, the H111D. And of course you have the controller with it here, built-in FPV and everything. I'll go ahead and peel this off the screen as well. Very nice to see a proper controller, like a very decent sized, large, comfortable controller here. And as you would expect, you get an instruction manual. A pretty in-depth, thorough construction manual. Now taking a quick look at the controller, of course you've got your sticks here in the middle, you've got all sorts of buttons here that I can only assume are all trims, 2 buttons up here. Now it does mention here in the manual, this button is apparently to start and stop video, and I can only assume this one is to take photos. Then on the side there's a micro SD card slot. Going back into the manual though, it says for mode 2 to press this in to change your speed from normal to expert mode, and to activate headless mode you press the throttle stick down for half a second, so press this one down for half a second, but then to do flips you hold down the throttle stick for 1.5 seconds to enter flip mode. That's going to be nice and confusing. Headless mode is half a second, flips are 1.5 seconds. I probably would have done this differently. And actually, like I said, there are buttons here on either side. They're not labeled. Presumably that is because in mode 1 you can use this one for video, in mode 2 you use this one for video. I will find out whenever I turn it all on. But other than that, it seems nicely constructed. There's a couple of things here on the side, and of course it does not mention what they are in the book. And over by the micro SD card slot, there's actually a mini USB jack. So that's a bit confusing. Maybe this is for some sort of external FPV glasses? Maybe not, maybe it's for nothing. It does not mention, as far as I can see in the manual, any sort of way to actually interact with that. So I'm not gonna worry about it. It says the quadcopter itself has a rechargeable Lipo battery that's 180 milliamp hours, and it's 3.7 volts. So in something this size, 180 is really not that bad. Should last for a little while. Depends on how much video you're doing though. And the transmitter itself is going to take 4 AA batteries that are not included. Batteries inserted and powered on. It says system initialize, bind to plane. So I'll go ahead and turn this on. And actually you can see we've got blue in the front, red in the back. And actually you can now see FPV from the camera. So there you go, that's sort of what you would expect to see from video. I don't immediately have a micro SD card, so I'm not gonna test that any further, but whenever I'm flying it around, of course I will. And it actually automatically bound itself, so if you're curious to know what it sounds like, let's go ahead and just fire it up. And the batteries are immediately low, but that's just to give you the initial thought. That's what it's going to sound like. Kind of like a nano quadcopter. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this battery finish running down, get everything charged up, and then maybe take it outside and fly it around, do some video and everything. We'll see how it works. All right, we are bound up. Let's go ahead and give it a flight. So apparently that's the flip mode. You hold down the left stick. Gives itself a lot of throttle before flip. Pretty flips though. So let's do a little video. So this should be recording. And that's headless mode. So that was not second rate. Hello, we are in headless mode now though, so you can actually see me. You can see me flying around in my pajamas. Now we can fly back normally. I don't think there's gonna be much in terms of funnels on this, and that does change the rates. Okay, so pushing the left stick in makes it go faster. Definitely got a little more pop to it now. Oh, it's not great, but it's not bad actually. Yeah, that definitely makes a little bit of difference, but it's not massive, and there are only 2 rates. And you hold the left stick, do your flips, hold it again. Yeah, I mean, nice flips. It does give itself a lot of throttle beforehand though. I'm kind of curious to see how long this battery is going to last, because it seems to be going for quite a little while. We're already at almost 4 minutes. And for something of this size, normally the battery would last like 2 to 3, especially if you're dealing with video. Not bad for indoors though. I mean, when you consider the limited amount of space that I've got here, it's doing alright in the second rate. Let's do another flip, back flip. Very nice. Cannot complain. Very stable. The video is actually cutting out just a little bit on the monitor, but it's been pretty solid so far. I've seen a few cutouts. I'm curious if the recorded video will have those cutouts. But yeah, it's very stable to control. Especially in the beginner rate, it's very, very calm and docile. And now we are at LVC warning, and we're at just over 5 minutes. So that's pretty impressive. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and get it recharged and then take it outside. But let's just let it die and see exactly how long it lasts. I would imagine the battery life will not last quite so long outdoors when I'm flying it a little bit harder. So far, very impressive battery life. It's definitely getting a little bit weaker now. Yeah, it's going down. And so it's hitting the ground at just over 6 minutes, 6:15. And there you have it, about 6 minutes, 15 seconds. I did lose a little bit of time, so just over 6 minutes. With video going the entire time, not bad. But let's take it outside and see how it does, and maybe a little bit of wind. Alright, and we are now outside with the Hubsan. The wind is probably going to be a factor in this, because we do have a very light breeze out here. And actually the right stick seems to not be responding very well. I will admit, I haven't flown this in a little while, so that could be part of it. Let's try. Yeah, that right stick's just not wanting to work. Yeah, so this is definitely acting a little differently than the last time I flew it. I'm going to keep it kind of close because it's being weird, but after flying it around a couple of times, I would say my initial impressions are just that as a camera quad, it's not great. They say on the website it's supposed to do 720 by 480. The footage that I put in here earlier was 720 by 240, which is a really weird resolution. So I'm not going to include any more at the moment. As far as how it flies, the controller is a little big, and it's just not terribly responsive. Maybe it's just a problem with mine, I don't know. I'd be curious if it'll work with my other Hubsan controller, because at least then it would be a halfway decent flyer. But as someone in the comments of one of my other videos pointed out, at the very least this is a good beginner's training kind of thing for FPV, because it does have a pretty good FPV signal. It's just the video quality is weird. And it does fly very smoothly and very steadily, as I mentioned in the earlier part of the video. So can't complain too much about it. And for its size, 6 or so minutes of battery life is really respectable. But I think that's actually where I'm going to wrap it up for today. So I'll put a link to where you can find this down in the video description. Thank you guys as always for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. We'll see you again in the next one.